real estate agents, you are doing transactions over and over again with buyers and sellers. You're leaving money on the table, most likely. We're going to show you how to add profit to every transaction. Welcome, Josh Oliver.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe. I like the real Joe. That sounds fun.
Yeah, well, it's all about real estate. That's what we do here.
There you go.
Experts
There you go. And
experts
you
in the
do it well.
market.
You do it well.
And you certainly are an expert in title. So let's talk about what you're doing.
I'll quickly preface that and say timeout. I'm personally not an expert yet. I am beginner at best and a slight
Okay.
generalist. But my team, who's been doing this for 25 years or more, are absolutely experts and brilliant at it. My job is just to make sure that we're hitting it in the right way. So, and we're serving people well. So, for all of my friends and family that are out there that say, "Oh, Josh didn't even know what title was a couple years ago," that is very true. But it has been a swift learning curve, and I am so grateful to be a part of the journey for sure.
Yeah, you're doing some stuff that's pretty exciting. And for someone that never really paid too much attention to the title insurance when I'm doing a transaction, I know my client should have it, yet I didn't realize there's an opportunity to make money on this, to your profit. So why don't you describe what you've done in the processing of title first, and then we can get into how real estate agents and others can benefit from this monetarily.
Sure, sure. I mean, it's obviously the title world is a very small subset of the insurance world, in terms of the transactions that are being involved, right? And specifically here in North Carolina, where I'm based out of, it's a bifurcated state. So the title company is not quarterbacking the closing, it is a closing attorney. And then they order title from a title company. And so just to kind of give you a little bit more of a background there, a couple of years ago, I was sitting with a great friend of mine who's been coaching my son since, first grade in football. And he's been doing title. Cody Johnson has been doing title for 20 plus years. And he starts telling me how North Carolina produces title and how those policies are created and how that all happens. And I'm like, man, it sounds like a very archaic system at best. And then in most cases, it was silly how
Right.
it was, the whole game was played, right? And so I was like, man, what kind of things would you do to innovate that? And he goes, man, we need to do this, 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 this. He started naming off all these things. And I had the beauty of being an outsider in the industry, and I've been a serial entrepreneur for my whole career. So I look at things a little bit differently from someone that's been in the trenches for 20 years, right? So I said, what if, right? And we put together an incredible team of experts from the technology side, from the compliance, the underwriter side. Said, how can we increase the profitability profile so that folks that are putting in all the hard work to make sure that people are being served well, the buyer of that home is being protected in the way they should be protected, and they're not just kicking the can down the road with a prior policy game or any of those types of things. And let's just serve them well. And so we did. We were able to streamline that process, get all the systems to communicate with each other, got several underwriters on board. And so now we're able to produce title back to that attorney, which makes their attorneys' lives and systems easier so that it increases the speed of which the closing can happen for ultimately the home buyer, right? And so I know from a real estate agent's perspective, one of the most annoying things is to have the attorney say, "I'm still waiting on title."
Right.
You know, and in North Carolina, for the most part, I mean, there's still a few counties out there that are not easily accessible, but most of the time we can get that title work back same day. And so those attorneys don't need to be waiting on title companies to produce the package. And so that included us creating technology so you can do a full 30-year search in just a few hours, that you can have, all the systems communicate with each other so there's no fat finger errors and no, data issues, and nobody's calling out sick and the folder's just sitting on the desk and those kinds of
Right.
things. Right? And because the ultimate goal is to allow that home buyer to get as quickly to the closing table as possible with accuracy and with a full protection that they deserve and that they're paying for when they're buying their largest transaction of their life in most cases.
Yeah, and I came from Massachusetts, and the Northeast is where I did most of my sales before I came down to North Carolina. And their processes are 6 weeks from
Yeah.
agreement to closing. North Carolina, 2 to 4. It happens fast down here. So to have that capability is really important.
Yeah, and it's huge. Like it's being able to adapt what we're delivering back to the attorney and to the client in terms of a policy is no different than what they would normally do in, say, a traditional setup. But the speed of which the transaction happens is where there's a difference. What's being delivered is still the same, but if you can get that back to the attorney faster and eliminate a lot of the unused time or gathering of data or of the deal from the attorney side, then that speeds up the transaction from the attorney side, which then filters down to that home buyer. So that's a huge deal in terms of the real estate closing piece. But the other side of the coin from that is that in North Carolina, the title company is separate from the attorney and they're bifurcated, right? So if you go to South Carolina, for instance, the attorney can also have ownership of the title company and it's kind of all part of the same organization.
Right.
Here in North Carolina, they're separate, right? And so the attorneys don't take part in the title in terms of premium share or any of those types of things. And so it's very common for real estate groups and mortgage companies to have some type of affiliate relationship with a title company so that they can increase profitability per file and then also streamline their processes internally so they can get to that closing table faster and have the type of service that they want to have for that client.
And so I actually, before we get into how it can work and how the benefits for monetarily, last minute, right before a property goes on record, is there not one more quick search to make sure no liens have gone on? Does
Yeah,
that as well?
no, that all is handled from the attorney side. In North Carolina specifically, that's all handled from the attorney side. We're title only, and we don't hold funds, we don't do escrow, we don't even do the cert. We have created and partnered with some vendors to provide services like that that the attorney can use in their internal systems, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's the attorney that certifies title, and we want to make sure that we keep that as part of the system here in North Carolina because it's not about trying to break the system. It's about how do we make this more efficient so that you can get time back from the attorney's perspective, give communication and speed to the real estate agent, and then the one that wins at the end of the day is the home buyer because not only are they getting a great policy to protect their real estate transaction, but they're also getting there quickly and efficiently.
Okay, got it. And how does you announced a relationship with Caddick recently?
Right, right. So Caddick is one of the underwriters that we work with in terms of they're the ones that are underwriting the policy that we issue on behalf of Rhythmic Title to that particular
Okay,
home buyer. They're the ones that are taking the liability as long as the attorney and the title company follow the guidelines that we've been given.
gotcha.
So Caddick, on the other hand, we announced a partnership with them in terms of a search product, which is separate from Rhythmic Title. It's an organization called donno.ai, an incredible technology that's true AI that allows attorneys to do a full 30-year search on that property in just a few hours. It aggregates all the data and puts it in a way that they can review it and certify title, or they discover something, they can go and fix it quickly instead of having to, say, tack on to a prior title and just hope for the best that the attorney that did it
Right.
before did it the right way, and the guy that did it before them did it the right way. And I mean, as many times have I've engaged in an attorney's conversation, no, rarely do I ever see attorneys say, "Man, they did a great job."
Right.
Normally, there's man, I don't know what they were thinking, right? And so, to me, the prior title game in some cases does make sense, but if if the only reason that was even in place is because it wasn't cost effective to do a full 30-year search on that property. I don't know if I'm buying a $1 million home, I would love to have a 30-year search on that property to give me a complete picture of what happened on that property.
Absolutely.
And so now their technology is such that the attorney can justify spending that much time and resources and efforts on it without having to delay the timeline, because if it was done manually, it takes several days.
Right. Right. Fantastic. So let's now talk about setting up. They're not joint ventures anymore. How do you set up with either teams or firms, lenders? How's all this working?
Yeah, so if there's a real estate group or a mortgage group or something like that that has almost any of them at size or at volume have a relationship with a title company, and that's great. I mean, there's a lot of really amazing title companies in the market, and so we're kind of more of a technology solution in that space, right? So what we've been able to create from a technology standpoint is that now we're starting to white label our technology to other title companies so they can become more profitable when they serve their real estate partners and mortgage partners that are closing in North Carolina. And I'm totally cool with that because this is not about like beating the brand of Rhythmic.
Right.
I want to move the industry forward in a way that's meaningful and that has an ability to change the trajectory of what so many people have built and have a great legacy in. And so, yes, Rhythmic Title has its own joint ventures, and we increase profitability per file with those real estate groups and those builders and those mortgage companies. In most cases, it's 6, 7, sometimes 8 times increase in profitability per file versus what their current relationship is. And so we have started off with doing that in a certain vertical, and then now we're white labeling our services for other title companies so that they can increase profitability and maintain their relationships with folks. And so for us, it's about moving the needle from the title insurance world here in North Carolina so that the ultimate benefactor of that is going to be that home buyer and their experience with that transaction.
That sounds like it's an altruistic event or practice. It's got to be money in this for you.
Yeah, well,
I mean, is it you get a fraction of the profit by partnering a white label as opposed to going out and trying to capture it all yourself?
there's a one of the core values that we preach and we talk about all the time is that there's a difference between being able to provide a service to the market and being willing to serve the market, right? Only one of those is generous. And if we as an organization maintain a generous mindset to that collaborator, to that referral, to that home buyer, everyone that's a part of that food chain, then we create what I have kind of been tossing around an all shall prosper business model. And if everybody in that food chain and that supply chain of real estate services wins, the real estate attorney saves time and resources and in their production. The title company is more efficient and is more lean and it creates more value. That home buyer has a better product. There's no delays. It's quick and swift. And I think that everybody wins, right? And we're not going to be all things to all people, but if
Right.
that is an important part of your journey, there's multiple title companies that I've spoken with the ownerships about, and it's all about how can we get more dollars? How can we get more dollars? That's not to me, the right vantage point to be looking at this because and I've walked away from a few different relationships already. It was built on greed. It wasn't built on service and generosity. Counterbalance that, I've talked to several real estate and title companies and mortgage companies that their vision and values have an alignment. And if we're in alignment, then everybody in that food chain can prosper if we're generous in our mindset to serving people well, right? And so I love a collaborative approach, right? And it becomes very obvious immediately if you're working with someone and it's a competitive, unhealthy relationship, right? Versus someone that's collaborative and saying, hey, I've had a title company for 20 years and we've done some great things in the market, but I know that we're way behind on technology. I don't want to get behind any further. How can we work together? I love
Yeah.
conversations like that because let's go and serve your people well and help change the trajectory of your organization for the next 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's not about market dominance for Rhythmic. It's about how can we serve people well. And I know I'm kind of hammering that point home probably more than I should, but I'm just very passionate about it because it's what really matters, right? And that's how we're able to create a sustainable legacy in this type of market.
Yeah, and that it often, way too often, gets pushed aside. It's the experience that agents want that should be delivering. It's the clients that want a good experience, and what you're offering is a solution that, done right, will increase that experience. And you yourself, the way your model is, you're creating that experience for the people you're partnering with,
Absolutely.
which is
Absolutely.
fun.
It could be again the lender. We can do same day title back to the lender on a refi, which is unbelievable for North Carolina, right? Because it's a very hard state to get stuff like that done. But through our attorney partners that we've already integrated with, speed is crucial when you're doing a refi because especially if there's a rate change,
Yeah,
which everyone talks about from time to time. It's about speed and being able to service that market that will determine whether or not you're going to be able to have any kind of traction when that does happen, right? And so vice versa for the real estate agent when they're out there trying to figure out how to make a deal happen because they're out there just grinding right now, trying to get deals done because it's not as easy as it used to be. Every single dollar matters, right? And you want to make sure that that home buyer is represented well and that they're getting the best deal possible.
So before your phone starts jumping off the hook, let's set it up so that people know who should be you contacting you. What size firm, real estate firm, team can benefit from your services?
Well, again, if I cap conversations based on volume criteria or dollar numbers, then I'm kind of being disingenuous to the generosity that I should have to the market,
Okay.
right? And sometimes it makes sense to do a joint venture, sometimes it doesn't, right? But there's always opportunity to learn from each other and for us to have a collaborative conversation about how can they increase through the use of tools in the marketplace that I'm hearing about, that I'm seeing in the marketplace, and then also with being able to network with people that are like-minded, that are saying, how can I increase my production of my team? So obviously the big teams that are out there that are doing, 40, 50, 100, 200 deals a month or more, like those are obvious answers to, because that scale, the needle really moves quickly. But those realtors that are out there that are doing 40 deals a year, that doesn't mean that they can't participate in some type of production or efficiencies in the market that they're able to help infuse into how they're serving their clients, right? And so it's about building that collaborative approach in the marketplace,
Right.
from the closing attorney to the lender to the boots on the ground, the ones that are knocking on the doors and showing houses, to the title company on our side as well. We're all in it together.
Yeah, I love that the personality of your company of Rhythmic is very much you and the way you think. 'Cause you're always out there sharing and willing to help others. So that's great that that carries through, and you're
It's
not creating
crucial.
something that, like you're saying, it's not disingenuous at all. It's real.
No, it's crucial. I mean, not all, I think an old term, and I'm going to probably butcher it now because I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head, but I know it's been a guiding light for me for a long time, is that, the profit is not the purpose, right? The profit is what fuels the purpose, right? And so for us as an organization is we happen to have the framework of a title company and we're licensed in multiple states to do title work, but our purpose is to change the trajectory of people's lives and move the industry forward. Profit is just is an outcome of us doing what we've been built to do well, right? It's what fuels it.
I love it. And, real estate agents, please listen to that. That's what we all should be doing, right? And the ones that are most successful know that. It's all about service.
Yeah, I see it every day. And I was following a piece of your content a few weeks ago, and you were just saying, hey, you're doing some market study, and like half the problem was a real estate agent wasn't even picking up the phone. You know,
Sure.
and so having that effort and intent, those are things that I teach to my team all the time. The effort has to be, what you got to do to get the traction that you need to have. And if you're putting forth 100% effort into that, 110% effort into it, the counterbalance of that, you have to have the intent to serve. If it's based on greed, then that fizzles out really quickly, right? Because you'll have a home run and all of a sudden you're not hungry anymore. And then you're starving and you can't find a deal to save your life. But if you're in the mentality of having the intent to serve people well, you might not be the person for them when selling that house, but you will create a relationship and something that will echo into a future deal or that'll correspond into something else. Who knows what the scenario is, but the effort and intent will be the filter of what your success is going to be.
Yeah, outstanding. Josh, thanks so much. People want to follow you, learn more about you. What do you recommend?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, social media, Facebook, Instagram, The Rhythmic Way, RHYTHMIC. The Rhythmic Way is kind of my thing. Josh Oliver on LinkedIn. I don't know what the connection is on LinkedIn, but I'm sure you can find me. I'm not that hard to find.
Yeah.
But I love documenting the journey that we're on right now as a team, and we're 9 months into this idea right now, and it started with a what if, and now we're month 9 right now, and the trajectory has been like a rocket ship, and I am
Yeah,
just so blessed to be a part of the
it's
team that we
phenomenal.
have. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Josh, thanks so much for coming on. Audience, subscribe. We always have phenomenal guests like Josh on the show. Be your best. Have fun.